Hi guys, it's April, and we are in the middle of February, which means it's time for part 1 of my February reads. What are you doing, dog? You showing the world your naked back end? So far in the month of February, I have read 7 books, which brings my yearly total right now to 21 books so far, which means I have read 2,462 pages in February, and that total for the whole year so far, I believe, 7,406? Yes it is. So right now my pace is about 165 pages a day and about 2 days per book. I'm pretty steady right now. I mean, I've only done, 3 wrap-ups so far, but all of them have been 7 books, so I'm consistent at least. And that also shows a lot of promise for my reading goal for the year. But on to some more exciting news, the books that I have read. The first book is Dune Messiah by Frank Herbert. This is the second book in the Dune series. I read Dune a while back, and then my brother handed me this book as well. It is set 12 years after the first Dune novel. I did like seeing all of the old characters returning. However, this was very much a political intrigue kind of story, and therefore there wasn't a lot of interest for me. Just a lot of people talking and plotting, and it really wasn't that exciting. And then, of course, the way it ended, it just made me kind of sad. Got a little bit of a Star Wars-y vibe there, too. I can see how this series could have influenced a lot of sci-fi. I got a little bit of Brandon Sanderson. I got a little bit of Star Wars. It was fun. Not my favorite. I also picked up The Cage by Megan Shepherd. This was on my Trash My TBR list. However, it called my name, and therefore I read it. This is the story about Cora and several other teenagers who wake up somewhere they do not know. They slowly start to realize that they are in this ginormous enclosure being studied by aliens. By that premise alone, I was intrigued, but getting into the plot, there was things that felt very tropey. At points, I didn't like any of the characters, and we went from 0 to 100 very, very quickly. There was a lot of things that I wanted to know about a lot of things. We went a little bit Spock, we went a little bit what? And then there's just, I don't know how to explain how I feel about this book. It's safe to say I won't be picking up the rest of the series. And then for work, I read The Mom Test by Rob Fitzpatrick. Holy cow, that name is a mouthful to get out. But it is simply a book on how to get user feedback without leading them down certain paths. It is just a way of getting feedback without the person who's giving you feedback feeling like they need to boost your ego a little bit and tell you all the wonderful things about yourself when that's really not helpful to what you want to do at all. I also picked up Fawkes by Nadine. This is the story of Thomas Fawkes, who is the son of Guy Fawkes. This is a retelling of the gunpowder plot. I was very, very intrigued because I randomly break out into remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. I don't know why I do, but I do repeatedly sometimes. So I was intrigued by what the storyline could be. It takes the gunpowder plot, it sets it in a world where there is magic centered around colors and mask, and then it is told from the perspective of Thomas. This story had the potential to be very, very good. However, I did not enjoy it. I got trapped in the magical system trying to figure out why it was working the way it was, because it is very segmented, and then you have this whole idea of one group of people believes in using white, the other people believes in ignoring white, which is the Catholics and the Protestants, and then you have this whole range of colors in between, but it is colors like red, green, blue, brown, black, that kind of thing. But my only problem is colors are in a range, and they aren't segmented like that. And so the artist in me is trying to figure out how this magic system works, while at the same time, Thomas was the whiniest character that I have ever met. And unfortunately, I got to a point where Thomas started to feel like some of those very tropey YA female leads. And I hated thinking that. I really, really, really did. And of course, if you know the whole gunpowder plot, you know how this story is going to end. It's not going to end on a happy note. I did like how they wove history into this book, but the magic system felt unnecessary, and then they tried to do a whole lot of political commentary on looks and appearances and how it doesn't matter, but at the same time, it was just, it was a great big ball of mess. So I do not recommend this book. I finally picked up Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik, and I loved it to death because I got more of my Russian folklore, which I'm starting to realize I really, really, really enjoy, because I got to see my Winter King and all of those kind of influences. And I'm starting to realize where some of the influences for House Moving Castle and all of those came from. I enjoyed this read so much. You get to follow 3 different women as their story intertwines, as they're trying to live their life. One is a Jew, one is a peasant, and one is the Duke's daughter. As their story interweaves together, they're trying to save their families, their friends, their people from this endless winter and this very hungry demon. That is all I'm going to say about the story, besides the fact that I really liked it, and just the range of the women characters and the friendships and the family and everything else. This has probably got to be my favorite Naomi Novik story to date. I loved it very, very, very much because it was so well written, and it, of course, deals with a lot of different issues that, I don't know, I liked it. I liked it a lot. And then there was Brother Ood by Dean Koontz. This is the 3rd book in the Odd Thomas series. In this one, Odd Thomas is living in a monastery and monks are dying. Odd starts to see some very, very creepy things, and it becomes his mission to figure out what is going on and to save some of these special children who are under the care of these monks and these nuns. This book goes completely off in a different direction than the normal ghosts that Odd Thomas deals with. We start to see some universe manipulation and other things like that, and it's a little different than the first and the second. It was okay, but it felt really weird at points because I couldn't understand why we were bringing in certain elements that we brought in. But as always, I love Odd Thomas's character. He's just off the wall, but he is very good and I love him. And last but not least, the most exciting book of my read so far this month is The Corporate Startup. Yeah, most of you aren't going to really care about this one. This was a work book club book, which is just about creating change in a corporate environment, taking some of those lean startup and startup mentalities and trying to weave them into a very established company and what that means and how to get to support and how to figure all of that stuff out. Because a lot of the industry is leaning very, very much so on the lean startup. But when you're in a very large business and you're trying to do things rapidly, sometimes it can be hard, and this is just a book about maybe initiating change like that. So those are all of the books that I have read so far in February. Tell me down below how many pages you think I will read by the end of this month. Just curious what you guys think of my reading habits. Tell me down below, and I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.